Learn English easily with Pro English.
Welcome back to the Speak English podcast. Today, we are going to fix the single most common pronunciation mistake that identifies you as a non-native speaker. It is a mistake that makes you sound robotic, clunky, and foreign instantly. I am talking about the dreaded ed ending in the past tense. You see the word looked on the page and your brain tells you to say looked. You see watched and you say watchied. Stop it. Right now. Today we are going to perform surgery on your pronunciation. We are going to teach you the three secret sounds of the past tense, T, D, and D. And we will teach you exactly when to use them so you never sound like a robot again.
Oh, this topic is my personal nightmare. I am guilty of this. I know I do it. I see the letter E on the page and I feel a moral obligation to pronounce it. If I write workied, I want to say workied. If I skip the E, it feels like I am eating a letter or making a spelling mistake with my mouth. It feels incomplete. But then I hear native speakers, and they speak so fast that the E disappears completely. I end up guessing. Sometimes I say worked, sometimes workied. I need a system, Michael. I need a rule that isn't just listen and guess. Why is English spelling so deceitful?
English spelling is a museum of history, not a guide for pronunciation. That E you see in ED is a ghost letter. In 90 of verbs, it is silent. It exists on paper, but it must not exist in your mouth. Here is the fundamental system. There are three possible ways to pronounce ED. The D sound, this adds an extra syllable like id. The T sound, a sharp, explosive T. The D sound, a deep, vibrating D. The mistake students make is using option 1 for everything. They make every verb 2 syllables, looked, played, washed. This destroys the rhythm of the sentence. We need to learn the vibration test to know which sound to use.
The vibration test. That sounds scientific. I usually just rely on what sounds good, which is obviously a bad strategy because looked sounds good to my brain. So how does this test work? Do I need special equipment, or can I do it right here? I assume it has something to do with the vocal cords. I remember learning about voiced and unvoiced sounds in a phonetics class years ago, but I completely forgot which is which. All I remember is touching my throat and looking silly in class. Please tell me we are going to touch our throats again.
We are absolutely going to touch our throats. Put your hand on your throat right over your Adam's apple or voice box. Now say the sound SSSS like a snake. SSSSSS. Do you feel anything? No, it is just air. That is unvoiced. Now say the sound ZZZZ like a bee. ZZZZZZ. Do you feel that buzzing, that vibration? That is voiced. This is the key, the rule. If the verb ends in an unvoiced sound, P, K, F, S, S, H, C, H, the ED becomes a. If the verb ends in a voiced sound, B, G, L, M, N, R, V, Z, the ED becomes a D. And there is one special exception for T and D.
Okay, I am buzzing like a bee. ZZZZZ. I feel the vibration. So the ending of the original verb dictates the ending of the past tense. It's like a domino effect. If the first domino doesn't vibrate, the second one shouldn't either. That makes physical sense. It's about energy conservation. But let's start with the special exception you mentioned. You said there is one time and only one time where we actually pronounce the E or the D sound. I want to learn this first so I know when I am allowed to add that extra syllable.
Smart strategy. This is rule 1, the T and D rule. You only pronounce the extra syllable /D/ if the verb ends in the letter T or D. Think about the verb want. It ends in T. If you tried to add another T sound, want T, you would stutter. It's impossible, so we add a vowel buffer, wanted, wanted. Think about need. It ends in D. You can't say need D, it sounds weird, so we say needed, needed. Want and need. These are the kings of D. If the verb doesn't end in T or D, you are legally forbidden from adding a syllable.
Okay, this is the anti-stutter rule. That is easy to remember. Wanted, needed, started, ended, decided, invited. All of these end in T or D sounds, so they get the VIP treatment, they get an extra syllable. That feels intuitive, so if I see a word like look, which ends in K is not T or D, so I cannot say looked. I have to destroy the E. This brings us to rule 2, the unvoiced sounds. This is where the looked tragedy happens. Walk me through the mechanics of the T sound.
Exactly. Rule 2, the unvoiced T. Let's take look. Put your hand on your throat. Say KKKKK. No vibration. It is unvoiced. Because K is unvoiced, the ED must also be unvoiced. The unvoiced partner of D is T, so look plus ED equals looked. Imagine the E is gone. Visualize the word spelled LOOKT, looked. One syllable. Help plus ED equals helped. P is unvoiced. Wash ED equals washed. SH is unvoiced. Watch ED equals watched. CH is unvoiced. It should sound sharp, crisp, and explosive, like a drum beat. KTPTSHT.
LOKT looked. It feels so abrupt. I looked at him. It feels like I am cutting the word short. And washed. Washed, it sounds almost like German. Washed. Okay, I am practicing. I helped my friend. I watched TV. I kissed my boyfriend. Wait, kissed. That ends in C. SSSSS. That is unvoiced, so it becomes kissty. It sounds like missed. Is that right? I missed the bus and I kissed him rhyme.
You got it perfectly. Missed and kissed rhyme with list or missed. Missed equals missed. Kissed equals kissed. This is why context is important, because past tense of past sounds exactly like past, the time before now. They are homophones. I passed the test equals I passed the test. The biggest challenge here is usually the consonant clusters, when you have words like asked. That is SKT altogether. Asked. It is tongue gymnastics. 3 consonants in a row with no vowels.
Oh, asked is the boss level. Asked. My tongue gets tied in a knot. I usually end up saying asti, I asked him. I skip the K because SKT is too hard. Is that acceptable? Or do I need to force that K sound out? Asti, it feels like I am spitting on people. And what about cooked? That's another common one. I cooked dinner. It sounds like cooked, the adjective for crazy. No, wait, that's kook. English is confusing.
With asked, native speakers often cheat too. In very fast speech, many Americans say asked. I asked him a question. It is technically lazy, but it is common. However, for cooked, you must pronounce the K cooked. Let's practice a few more unvoiced ones to solidify this. Laugh. The GH sounds like F. F is unvoiced, so laughed equals laughed, fix. The X is actually a K's sound, unvoiced, so fixed equals fixed. Dance. The CE is an C sound, unvoiced, so danced equals danced. If you say I danked, you sound like you are in a period drama from 1800. I danced sounds modern.
I laughed, I fixed, I danced. It actually makes speaking faster. I realize now that saying laughed takes so much more time. I laughed at the joke versus I laughed at the joke. It connects to the next word better. I laughed at. It links. Okay, so I think I have conquered the T sound. Ends in TD, DID. Ends in unvoiced PKFSSHCH. Now what is left? The voiced sounds. Rule 3. This is the D sound.
Rule 3, the voiced, this is for everything else. If your throat vibrates on the last letter, the ED becomes a deep, soft D take call. The L sound, LLLLLL, your throat vibrates, so called equals called. Not called, one syllable, clean. The N sound, NNNNN, vibrates, cleaned, cleaned. Love, the V sound, VVVVV, vibrates. Loved equals loved. This sound is softer than the T, it is a low hum. It doesn't explode, it sustains. Called, loved.
Caldy, cleandy, lovedy. This one feels harder to hear. The T is sharp, looked. The D blends in. I cleaned my room. It almost sounds like clean my room if I say it fast. Do I need to be careful to make sure the D is heard? Or is it okay if it's very subtle? I worry people will think I am using the present tense if my D is too soft. I call him yesterday versus I called him yesterday.
That is a very valid fear. The D can be subtle, but it must be there. The trick is to hold the final consonant a little longer before releasing the D. Called D. Clean D. If you cut it short, it sounds like present tense. Also be careful with vowel endings. All vowels are voiced. A, E, I, O, U, they all vibrate. So verbs like play, stay, try, cry, play, ed equals played. Not played, try plus ed equals tried. Not tried. This is where played is a massive error. It's just played, rhymes with made.
Played is definitely one of my bad habits. I played football. It sounds so childish now that I hear you say it. Played, stayed, tried. It makes the word played sound exactly like paid, money, or made. Just a simple D at the end. Okay, Michael, I have a question about exceptions. I heard someone say the word wicked, like the Wicked Witch. They pronounce the E, wicked, but wick ends in K. It should be wicked like licked. Why is wicked pronounced with two syllables?
You found the adjective trap. This is the one place where English breaks its own rules to drive you crazy. When ed words are used as adjectives describing a noun, some of them a very small group pronounce the D syllable even if the base ends in a K or other unvoiced sound. Wicked adjective wicked, but the flame wicked away the oil is wicked. Naked adjective nakid. You never say nacked. Crooked adjective crooked. Wretched adjective wretched. These are fossilized pronunciations from Old English. But don't worry, there are only about 5 or 6 common ones. For 99 of verbs, stick to the TD rules.
Okay, naked and wicked. Those are the rebels. I can memorize those. The naked truth, the wicked witch. But if I say he looked naked, looked is looked verb and naked is nakid adjective. He looked naked. Wow, mixing the rules in one sentence is going to be a mental workout. What about used to? I used to go there. I hear native speakers say used to. The D disappears completely. Is that a special rule?
That is assimilation. When a D is followed immediately by a T like in used to, the sounds merge. The D is lost. We don't say I used to go. We say I used to go. Same with supposed to. We don't say I am supposed to. We say I'm supposed to. These are specific phrases where the grammar rules surrender to the speed of speech. But be careful, if you write it, you must write the D. I used to. I am supposed to. Don't let your pronunciation ruin your spelling.
Used to and esposta. That helps so much. I always tried to force the D out. I used E to. It was so clunky. Okay, I feel like I have the 3 categories in my head now. Extra syllable / D /. Only for T and D wanted needed. Sharp T / unvoiced P K F S S H C H. Helped looked kissed. Soft D / voiced and vowels. Called played loved. But my brain is slow, Michael. I can't check a vibration chart every time I speak. How do I practice this until it becomes muscle memory?
You need to do the list method. Take a list of 10 verbs for each category. Read the T list, looked, asked, helped, worked. Do it fast. Feel the explosion of air. Read the D list, called, cleaned, mobbed us. Feel the hum. Read the ID list, wanted, needed, started. Feel the rhythm bounce. Then mix them up. Read a random list and force your brain to switch. The goal is to stop reading the E. When you see worked, hallucinate the spelling. See WRKT in your mind. Delete the E from your mental image.
Visual hallucination. I like that. I am going to mentally cross out every E I see in the past tense unless it is next to a T or D look tilde E tilde D lookt. PLAY tilde E tilde D PLAYD. WNTED want ID keep the E. It's like a game. The E is usually an imposter.
Exactly. The E is an imposter. Now, before we finish part 1, I want to address one final fear: being misunderstood. Students think, if I don't say the E, they won't know it's past tense. Let me assure you, context does 90 of the work. If you say, yesterday I work late, present tense mistake, I understand you because of yesterday. But if you say, yesterday I worked late, pronunciation mistake, I understand you, but I get distracted by the robotic sound. Worked is the goal, but silence is better than adding a syllable that doesn't exist.
Silence is better than an extra syllable. That is a liberating thought. It means doing less work is actually better English. I can get behind that. Less effort, better accent. Okay, Michael, I am ready to start practicing my lists. Looked, played, wanted. Washed, lived, decided. It has a rhythm. It's not chaos, it's music.
It is music, and in part 2 we are going to apply this music to sentences. We are going to practice linking, because looked changes when the next word starts with a vowel. Looked at becomes looked at. Moved away becomes moved away. The ed ending actually jumps to the next word. This is the secret to advanced flow. Are you ready to link?
Looked at, moved away. Oh boy. Just when I thought I mastered the word, now I have to glue it to the next one. I am ready. Let's do it. Fin delaparte 1. Quiers que gener la parte 2, turnos 31 a 60. Octines la parte 2, turnos 31, a 60 para completar el episodio de 30 minutos. Mantengo la densidad de texto y los identificadores de voz, voice 1 y voice 2. TEMA. Stop saying look heed. Part 2. Linking the final exam DURACIN PARTE 2, 15 minutos aprox.
Welcome back to part 2. We have fixed the individual words. You know that looked is looked and played is played. But you don't speak in single words, you speak in sentences. And this is where the magic happens. Native speakers sound fast because we link. We take that final T or D sound from the past tense verb, and we jump it onto the next word. We effectively move the past tense marker so it becomes the start of the following word. This is the secret to flow.
Moving the past tense marker. That sounds like cheating, so if I say I liked it, you are saying I shouldn't stop between liked and it, because right now I say, I liked it. It feels safe. But it also sounds like I am reading a list of groceries. How do I jump the sound? Do I say I liked it? That sounds potentially inappropriate. But is that the mechanics of it?
It sounds funny, but yes, that is exactly the mechanics. Rule 1, linking to vowels. If the next word starts with a vowel A, E, I, O, U, the T or D jumps. Liked it becomes liked it. Cookta becomes cookta. She cooked a meal. Watchta becomes watchta. I watched a movie. You are saving energy. Instead of stopping the air after the K or CH, you release the air into the vowel. It makes the verb sound like present tense, like, cook, watch, and the next word sounds strange, tit, ta, ta. But to the ear it is perfect English.
I watched a movie. That flows so much better. It feels like I am sliding down a slide. What about the D sound? Does it jump too? Moved away. Called up. Does it become moved away? That seems harder because the D is softer. I feel like I might lose the D entirely if I am not careful.
The D jumps just as easily. Moved away becomes moved away. Called up becomes called up. Lived in becomes lived in. I lived in London. If you listen closely to a native speaker saying I lived in London, you will hear I live. Din, London. The din is very clear. This is why listening comprehension is hard. You are listening for lived, but we are hiding the D in the next word. Once you know this trick, you will hear it everywhere.
Lived in. It sounds like a name. Lived in. Okay, this changes everything. I realized I have been working so hard to pronounce the end of the word, but the end of the word is actually the beginning of the next one. Now what about the third category, the D sound wanted, needed? Since it ends in a D sound, I assume it links to wanted it.
Yes, but here is a special American twist. Because wanted ends in a vowel plus D sound, wanted. When you link it to a vowel, that final D often becomes a flap T, fast DR sound in American English. Wanted it, wanted it, wanted it. Needed a, needada. Started it, started it, started it. It becomes a rhythmic bounce. Da-da-da, I needed a break. It is incredibly fast.
Needed a break. That is pure speed. It sounds totally native. Okay, so vowels are easy. We just connect them. But what about consonants? What if the next word starts with a hard consonant? Helped me. Looked for. I can't say helped me. That is a tongue twister. PTM, it creates a traffic jam in my mouth. Do we drop the T?
You found the traffic jam. We don't drop the T, but we change it. We use a stop sound or held sound. For helped me, you form the P, you form the T. but you don't release the explosion of air for the T. You hold the silence for a millisecond and then go straight into the M help T. Me, for looked for, you say look T. For, your tongue goes to the T position, stops the air, and then releases into the F. It sounds like a tiny pause or a hiccup. If you explode the T look T for, you will sound choppy.
A hiccup look T. For okay, so I am signaling the past tense with a silence, not a sound. That is very zen. What about when the sounds are the same? Stop talking. Stopped ends in T, stopped. Talking starts with T. Do I say two T's? Stop T talking, or just one big T?
Just one big T, we merge them. Stop talking becomes stop talking. With a strong, slight pause on the T, used to becomes used to. Need to, needed to becomes need to. Wait, actually needed to is needed to. So you have two D's, needed to. But for call Dave, it merges, call Dave. Basically, if the sounds collide, make them one long sound, don't stutter.
Call Dave, stop talking. That is a relief. I always tried to separate them. I stopped talking. It felt so dramatic. Merging them is much more natural. Okay, Michael, I want to ask about the cluster nightmare again. Asked, we talked about asked, but what if I say asked for? SKTF 4 consonants. Asked for, is it physically possible to say this fast, or do natives cheat?
Natives cheat aggressively here. For asked for, you will often hear as fur or asked fur. We frequently drop the K sound entirely in this specific cluster because SKTF is just too much work. I asked for a raise. Don't worry about being perfect with the K here. Rhythm is more important than the K if you say I asked. For, you break the flow. I asked for keeps the flow.
I asked for. I am writing that down as authorized cheating. Okay, I feel like I have a toolkit now. Vowels link it. Looked at, consonants hold it. Look T for, same sound merge it. Stop talking, clusters cheat it. Asked for. This covers almost every situation.
It covers 99 of situations. Now are you ready for the final exam? I am going to give you 5 sentences. They are traps. They mix the rules. I want you to pronounce them using the correct ED sound T, D, or /D/ and the correct linking strategy. No looked, no played, pure flow.
Okay, I am nervous but ready. I will visualize the spelling changes. I will delete the E, I will jump the consonants. Hit me. What is the first sentence?
Sentence 1, she cooked a meal for us. Think, what is the sound of cooked? Does it link to A?
Okay, cook ends in K unvoiced, so ED is T cooked. Next word is A, vowel, so the T jumps, cookta. Meal is normal. For us links, for us. Result, she cooked a meal for us. Did I pass?
A plus, she cooked a meal. Perfect. Sentence 2, he needed a new job. Think, need ends in D, what is the ED sound? How does it link to A?
Need ends in D, so ED is D needed. Id ends in D, next word is A. American flap tea time, needed. Result, he needed a new job. It sounds so bouncy. He needed a new job.
Excellent, that flap T is the mark of a pro. Sentence 3, I missed the bus. Think, miss ends in S, what is the ED? Next word is the TH consonant.
Miss ends in S unvoiced, so ED is T missed. Next word is the T plus TH is tricky. Miss the, I can't really jump it, I have to hold the T miss D. The or, wait, do I merge them? Does T and TH merge? Result, I miss the bus, dropping the T, or I miss the bus.
This is a hard one. Usually we use the stop T, we form the T but don't release it, and move your tongue immediately to the TH between teeth. I missed the bus. However, in very fast speech, many people just create a long S sound and hit the TH hard. I missed the bus, but aiming for missed either is safer. Good job. Sentence 4, they arrived late. Think, arrive ends in V. What is the ED? Next word is late, L.
Arrive ends in V voiced, so ED is D arrived. Next word is late, consonant, so I hold the D arrived D, late, or maybe it blends, D and L are similar positions. Result, they arrived D late. It feels almost like a DL cluster.
Yes, D and L are both alveolar sounds, tongue touches the ridge behind teeth. So you don't even have to move your tongue. You just vibrate for the D, then release for the L arrived D late. Very smooth. Last one, the boss level. Sentence 5. I decided to stay in. Think, decide ends in D, next word is to.
Decide ends in D, so ed is D decidid. Next word is to, so we have id plus to, decididu. The D and the T are similar. D is voiced, T is unvoiced. Do I say decididu? Or does the D become a T? Deciditu, result. I decididu stay in.
Correct, because the T in to is strong, the final D in decided often sharpens into a T stop. I decided to. Or even merged, I decidata. If you use gonna logic, it becomes, I decidata stay in. You passed the exam, Sarah. You are no longer a looked robot. You are a looked master.
I feel like a master. I decidata learn this and I finished the lesson. Did you hear that? Finished. It really is a mindset shift. I have to stop reading and start feeling the vibration.
Stop reading, start feeling. That is the motto. Thank you for joining us on this pronunciation journey. Don't let the ghost letter E haunt you anymore. Exorcise it from your speech.
Goodbye, Ghost E. Thanks, Michael. See you in the next episode, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Hoped, by Findel Episodiocomplito. Turnos 1 a 60 completados. Duración total 30 minutos.